the door. You know the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Let me kiss you.
No.
Let me kiss you.
Did you tell them to tune in tonight? Look, you're making background noise, sir. Hello, everyone. Good Wednesday. Good Wednesday. Let me make sure that I'm live. I am going to be making this public, so give me 2 seconds. How is everyone doing today? It is Wednesday. Hope all is well. If you have not watched yesterday's episode, please do so. Excuse my edges. I gotta take this out eventually. But today I am doing Wisdom Wednesday. Now I've had guests on, but today is just going to be myself, and we're talking about generational wealth. 5 ways our generational wealth is not secure, especially in the Black community. So if you are visiting for the first time, I am Kristen Nicole Mann, and I have a podcast called Know or Never, aka Now or Never, because it's about what's happening now that you need to know. So right now, there's huge, major money conversations. There are migrants coming into our country. All of these things are happening. Excuse my voice. All of these things are happening within the United States. Um, so I just want to talk about it because we are in a time where we have access to information, and I gathered some notes and some things to help people out, bring you awareness. So these are only informational purposes. I am not trying to be a financial advisor or anything um serious like that. If you need to do that, go seek out, the counseling you need. But I just want to give you some interesting and sobering facts when it comes to generational wealth and the wealth gap. And we millennials are gripped with student loans like myself. If you took the opportunity to go get a further education, you may have student loans that you need to pay off. And that all depends on how far you went in your education. The United States alone, they promote educating yourself further and further. But guess what? That's not free. So this today what you're gonna learn is about 5 ways this is all holding us up. So the first stats that I want to go over, because I have notes. So Black Americans only hold 4% of wealth and make up 13% of the population in the Western Hemisphere. So I'm going to say that again. Black Americans hold 4% of the wealth and make up 13% of the population in the United States. But let's go to, and I'm going to put the notes in the section so that you all can know what I'm referring to. And let's go to the white household. So the white households, they continue to own a disproportionately greater share of total family wealth. And they are representing, as household wise, 63.8%. And then white households also, they own 82% of total family wealth in the second quarter of 2023. So that's a high. We're going from 4% to 82%. Now, if you are a minority in this country, ours is like it's way down here versus up there. And so I wanted to know why. I'm a person that tries to find information. I dig. I'm like, no, something's wrong. Is it I'm not doing stuff right, or has this been generational? Because sometimes it's not our fault if we are in families that necessarily don't have wealth, or they had wealth and it kind of got lost in the shuffle and you just didn't end up with anything. And it said in the articles that I read, a lot of the third generations, they are ending up without wealth, which is a lot of millennials. Baby boomers are the wealthiest right now in the country. So if you have baby boomer parents, baby boomer aunts, uncles, whatever the case may be, I would strongly encourage you to talk to them about how they have their things set up. So moving forward, I'm going to give some barriers or some circumstances that affect overall financial well-being. This includes divorce, addictions, untimely death or disability of primary income earner, medical crisis, and disagreements over inheritance or distribution of family assets. And so those are 5 circumstances that could affect the overall well-being of your family's finances and wealth in general. And a lot of us, deal with family members that may be divorced. My dad had addiction and died prematurely. We have a lot of family members that may have died prematurely. So you cannot go back and talk to them, like you could when they were alive. That was my biggest mistake. I definitely wish I would have talked to my father and my grandfather more on my dad's side about the wealth and money and my granddad, dad did really well for himself, but he worked really hard to get there. And I wish sometimes I would have talked to him about the working hard part and what he did to necessarily die like a multimillionaire, but can't go back. So when there's strains in family, like both sides of my family, like we are all scattered, we don't talk. I don't have that relationship with a lot of my aunts and uncles. And these are just real things that happen in people's family that deteriorate a streamline of wealth that could be benefiting everyone, our children that we're having, their children. And this is just something that we need to start talking about publicly and behind the doors. So with barriers in the Black families per se, there's a lack of access to home ownership. So within America, if you are not a history buff like me, there's a lot of redlining. I don't know if you ever heard that term, but there's certain parts in depending on where you live in your city that may have been redlined back in the early 1900s or even up to like 1960. They redlined certain areas where Blacks could not live, Black or brown. So it's something that you have to take into consideration when you are moving into places still, because they're still intact. So there's also land covenants. I don't know if you ever heard about that, but land covenants is documents that people have written in the past that said that they did not want anyone Black to live on the land or anyone outside of their color to live on the land. So we have a lot of that going on in the United States still, because those covenants were documents. It was put in place to keep certain people out. And so we have racial covenants within the deeds. We have lower home values, such as low income neighborhoods that we're pushed to. So that means like if you buy a house and say it's a low income area and you want to sell it, like the selling market that we had, you're not going to get the same value back. So there's certain barriers like this when it comes to lack of access to home ownership. The second one is Black and brown people are highly underbanked. So this is not this is a recent thing still. We are underbanked, and 40%, 47% of Black and Latins households were underbanked in 2021. So that's almost 50%. I couldn't really find, I'm going to try to find now, but I'm pretty sure it's still probably the same. because 2021, that's not really that long ago. So without these like tools to have, like without banks, without solid good banks to bank at, it really sets the bar like really low for us to have home ownership with a good bank. There are banks that will lend, but they have high interest rates. And a lot of us Black and brown people, we get caught up in the mix with those type of loans. And I used to work at a foreclosure law firm. Most of the people that were in that market crash were Black and brown people that lost their homes. A high percentage lost their homes. It doesn't mean that, other cultures didn't lose their home, but I remember like it was a high percentage of Black and brown people losing their home in 2008. The next thing is lower median credit scores. So there was a lower median credit score across the board with Black and brown people. And, credit is important in America per se. I don't really have too much knowledge of how it works in other countries, but I know within where I live, credit is everything. It rules right now. Now it may change, but we don't know that. We don't really know. It's like every day you wake up, we hear new information. We hear something that, changes the game for laws. There's different laws written in place. So you want to make sure as a person that wants to break this type of curse or this cycle in your family, stay up to date with information. Like you don't have to be a scholar. You don't have to say I'm a financial advisor. It's just really good to know information and get it from the right source, of course, but it's just really good to know information. We're in the information era, so we should be taking advantage of the access that we have to articles, to YouTube, to all of these things. So I just am really quickly going over this today because it's just a little seed. It's a little nugget for you all to take on yourself. So back to lower median income, I'm gonna put this in the notes. A lot of our credit scores are jacked because of student loans. And that's just the truth. I know I have student loans. I really looking back, I'm like, I should have never took this out. But you can't be that hard on yourself. Like I said, this country, they thrive off of education. So it's kind of like everywhere we look, we are rewarded for having a college degree or, something like that. So it all depends on where you live. Now, next is we're going to get to the ways that we could set our children up for their future and their wealth. So just because your family didn't do it for you doesn't mean that you can't start today. Not tomorrow, but today. Hold on, my nose is because it's cold outside. But today you can start your journey into breaking that cycle. So like, for instance, me, I don't have wealth that I'm starting with. So even starting as an entrepreneur in a lot of Black and brown families, we don't start with capital. We don't have banks like wanting to give us a loan because of credit score. Maybe the bank just doesn't trust your business being so new. It's not always racial, but unfortunately, racism is something that's still alive and well. And they sell it. They kind of keep it going so that, people's mindset doesn't shift. And so today we're going to reverse that and we're going to shift our mind. But the first thing that you could do with your family, if you don't have children, even still do this, communication. Use communication. That breaks cycles. You sit down with your family. We all want to be outside. We all want to travel. We all want to do these things for social media. But when it gets to doing the boring stuff, we don't want to do that. So we have to set aside time to sit and talk with our families, like even down to who you had children with. I talk to my son's dad all the time about my son's money. I told him to set up certain accounts. I kind of share with him what I learned and listened to. It's communication that really breaks these cycles, and it's not to talk down to anyone, but it's just like check with your parents, check with who you still have alive that may have been your caretaker, and ask them, how do you have stuff set up? I asked my mom, like, don't be afraid to ask. And if they don't give you that opening to ask, just kind of like do it in a respectful way. Always do it in a respectful way, so that how you all can plan the estate. We don't live forever, so it's like we have to plan these things out. A lot of people passed throughout the pandemic. They didn't have life insurance. Life insurance is a big thing. That's what paid for my dad's funeral, is life insurance. And it was easy peasy. It was probably the easiest process that it could have been for us during our grieving. So set life insurance up. I know my mom has a policy on me, or my parents did together, but my mom had one on me, still has one on me. And then wills. Okay, wills will save the whole back and forth with the family members. I've seen it. It's hell when you don't have a will. It's smooth when you do have a will. And especially back in the day, they had more like siblings that they were dealing with. Some of us, we're not dealing with 6, 7 siblings anymore. People don't have kids like that too much anymore. They still do, but it's not like a high percentage. So, wills will really help our families as Black and brown people, because we have so many. It will help it be a smooth process. Now, again, this is information purposes only, but I have experienced seeing people turn on each other when it comes to finances and when it comes to inheritances. And it really can separate your family in a toxic way. And I'm still dealing with the result of that. Increase your financial literacy. So it's your job to go and increase your financial literacy. Don't wait for someone to validate you or give you the go ahead to look into how the money is. Look into, there's so many YouTubes. Go to Robert Kiyosaki. Go to, I think it's Glenn. I watch them all the time. I watch Earn Your Leisure. I watch, there's so many people that I trust, not trust in a way of they're my financial advisors, but they keep you up to date with what's going on in the economy. Like, do that, expose yourself to that. It's painful when you didn't do right with your money, but you know what? I've learned to take the constructive criticism from those shows and apply it, and just daily do the best that I can. That's just what you're going to have to do. Like, daily, just do the best that you can to break those generational cycles. Hold on, my notes went. So yes, find some, counseling. If you need counseling, find that out. Find a person that you can talk to about your finances. Don't be afraid to start having those money conversations. There are people or conferences that I went to where they make a lot of money. The person that's speaking to us, they make a lot of money. And I've conditioned myself to listen to people that's talking about real money, not no $20, not just about making money, but by diversifying their portfolio. They're investors. They have real estate. So once you be around these conversations, you're not going to be so shook, when you're talking to a financial advisor and they're like, you need at least 10 million for this. You know, these are real conversations that people have. And I think what the Black and brown community doesn't do, they don't do the necessary work together in order to push generational wealth forward to the forefront. Because like I said, everybody wants to be outside. It's great to have leisure time. It's great to go shopping. It's great to even start a business. But making money is different from having wealth. You can make money all day, but it's about what you do with your money. So these are hard lessons that I've learned, especially with trying to do what I do. And it also stresses you out when you're not in a good financial state, when you're trying to be creative and you're trying to start these things. It's a burden sometimes because you feel like you're pushed in a corner and you start operating in survival mode. And so start listening to these conversations. Go look up somebody and start today. And then you adopt an investment mindset. So make your money work for you. Yesterday, now this is a small win, but it's a good win. I had accumulated $14 from the investments that I made in the stock market. Now that's a major win for me because sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I was able to transfer $14. Some people don't even have $14 in their bank. So I'm like, that's a win for me. So I'm just going to keep going with shifting my mind to being an investor and not just, I can get to the bag. What are we doing with the bag? That's what we want to ask ourselves. Like, am I creating different streams of income, a portfolio that's really going to carry my kids and their kids into the best destiny or person that they can be? Because I feel like a lot of times when we don't have that, we're not aware of this stuff. We're really just in a tunnel vision and we're not thinking about future. We're thinking more of like whatever happens today, that's what happens. But you have to get really good at disciplining yourself on writing down realistic goals. In business, they always tell me, my mentors, they say, you want to make what you have to pay. You don't want to just be like, I just want to make anything today. Like you want to go towards like what bills you have to pay. Like right now, my mind is shifting to, okay, I need to pay these student loans off because if I want to own anything, that's just what has to be. Like I can't dodge it. But there's a lot of people trying to dodge that right now, but it's not going to do you any justice with Biden just writing off the student loans. It's like it didn't teach you nothing. It's not teaching us nothing. It's just teaching us to be entitled from our government. So we can't keep doing that to have generational wealth. I know my grandparents, they worked really hard to get what they got, to leave to their kids. And some people don't have that work ethic no more. I don't know what happened. Obviously social media happened, but at the same time, it's like, we got to go back to what if internet goes off? What if I can't get on here and talk to people? That's where we have to revert to. So it's not to be scared or operate in fear, but it's really just giving yourself a realistic outlook on life. Next is overcoming the racial wealth gap and building generational wealth can require mindset shifts. So mindset shifts require work. So you are going to have to unravel all the toxic money habits. You're going to have to even create your own money habits. You might not can do what your mom or your dad did because that might not work for you. You might be you might think a whole different way. So you really are going to have to try different things. Like myself, we like to follow in the path of, you know, what people did, even successful people, but that doesn't mean that's our path. That doesn't mean that's what we're supposed to do. So you find what, you know, how you learn, people that you can learn from. You might not like Robert Kiyosaki. You might like, I think it's Glenn Beckham. I think that's his name. But yeah, really find a flow of how you can learn about financial literacy and get in community with people that talk about wealth. That wealth is a whole language. You know, everything's a language. Mental health is a language. Wealth is a language. Entrepreneurship is a language. Church is a language. So really start learning these languages, and you'll be surprised at what you already knew, and you'll be surprised at what you don't know. So I hope this really helped. I did put the notes in the comment section. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel. This will be uploaded to it. And I did an episode last night on childhood trauma. It was really good. It's really doing well on TikTok, the clips. And I'm just going to keep clipping that up. But if you have any financial questions, I encourage you go and ask a financial advisor. Go and ask someone that's really 12 steps ahead of you on how they do their finances, because that's going to help you. Going back to number one, communication. We have to start communicating. We have to start sitting down and planning these estates, life insurance, wills. I'm just seeing if I forgot anything. Wills, though, I'm telling y'all, that's gonna save y'all a lot. I am look, front row seat to people changing. It gets ugly, it gets nasty if you don't have a will. So you don't want to deal with that stress, especially after someone has passed away. You don't want to deal with that stress. My dad, unfortunately, wasn't in the position to pass down wealth because, of addictions. That has to do with it too. I went over, our habits need to start changing, especially in the brown and Black community. We need to start changing our habits. We're spending too much money on tobacco, too much money on these vices that really take us out the game with thinking clearly. If you're always thinking about alcohol, guess what? You might want to check yourself. It's okay if you want to go have, social time after the work. But if this is something that is consistent and it's coming home with you and it's really affecting how you communicate, how you talk about money, how you think about anything in the world, it's a problem. And a lot of our people, Black and brown people, have this problem. And me growing up under it, I'm just a girl telling you in real time, it affects you. That's why I went over the childhood trauma, because that affects your money too. That affects any type of wealth, because debt is actually the enemy of wealth. Like I always say, I'm a woman of faith. The Bible be on it with the principles. Debt affects wealth. It's the enemy of wealth. So if you want to start allocating debt this year and you feel like you need to follow what these people are saying, don't do it. There's ways. Research first. Don't get yourself in debt. Don't be like me, because I'm not even using none of the school that I went to school for, but I have student loans. So, and I've seen a lot of people pivot to other careers and they still have this student loan debt for something that they're not even doing. That's the worst. I'm telling you, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, especially if you're not coming from a family that you have access to inheritances. There's only certain people that do. They look out for themselves. We have to come together, y'all. That's another thing. That's a bonus I saw. Black families, Black and brown families are against each other. That is not helping generational wealth. It's all right to be against someone you don't know, but when it comes to family, families aren't talking, they're beefing, they don't call each other. They and I said this at my dad's funeral. I said, pick up the phone, text someone, call someone. I saw people not even call him. I saw people not even visit. So it's like these things, they hinder our abundance, our wealth, our, you know, some of this stuff we have to do together to get ahead. So I'm going to get off of here. That is Wisdom Wednesday. And I hope you all have a good Wednesday, like myself and my son will. And I'm getting off. Bye.